Here, I'd like to welcome you to the Fat Show. I'm Kevin. Here we are on location here at Autzen Stadium, where we have a number 5 team, and that of the Washington Huskies, facing the Oregon Ducks, what used to be a top 25 team before having a losing streak here. So what we're going to look at here is a couple key matchups. Let's first start out here of the Oregon Ducks. Starting the redshirt freshman there of Justin Herbert, a local kid, 6'4", 6'5", about 220, so a nice big frame. Able to see over the offensive line of a freshman offensive line, very young offensive line. What will be key for me is Herbert, how he's able to approach this game. How easy does Helfrich make this game for him as far as plays to call, maybe getting quick passes, getting a momentum, getting a rhythm. So it'll be interesting to see how Mark is able to call that for him, a first starter of a rivalry game here at Autzen Stadium. So we'll see that. We'll also see that how is Herbert able to utilize the weapons that he's able to use. Let's talk about Royce Freeman, a Heisman candidate. Of course, he did get hurt in Nebraska. He was a little bit limited in Colorado, played against Washington State. So he hasn't had a lot as far as he's had some touches, he has some good plays. But it'll be interesting to see how they're able to use Royce Freeman. Are they able to have that offensive line be able to block and have some good schemes? Maybe do a screen pass, something of that sort to kind of mix it up, a little bit of misdirection. But of course, Royce Freeman is a power back to go right up the middle. So key blocks are going to be key, coming off the line, establishing those blocks right away. But then you've got weapons on the outside. You have Kenai Benoit who can go outside. You have Tony Brooks-James that can go outside. You have these running backs, even Taj Griffin. So you have these weapons. And even on the offense with regards to the receivers, you have that of Charles Nelson. You could possibly use him as a taser position for misdirection. You have Dwayne Stanford. You don't have Devin Allen, of course. He is injured for the year with an ACL injury. But you do have big tight ends, big targets, that of Pharaoh Brown, long and tall. You have that of course, too, Johnny Munt, Evan Bayless. So I would like to see them utilize the tight end feature here with Oregon. Be able to kind of get these guys out of sync when we're talking about the defense of Washington. It'll be key as well as that eliminating the SIWs. Chip often talked about self-inflicted wounds, and so it'll be interesting to see how is Oregon able to fare when they're not having penalties or false starts. These are things that stop that momentum. These are things that stop the progression of the offense to make plays, not have 3 and outs, put pressure on that defensive line and defense of Washington. So we're talking about that. Also, when we look at special teams for Oregon, Oregon cannot leave points on the board. They have to take advantage of their kicker, who's one of the best kickers in the nation as far as his ratio and his percentage. So they can utilize that kicker to be able to get those points. And I see them possibly going for 2 here and there, but use that kicker because you need that kicker to put up those extra points. Even getting field goals, there's still points, especially against a team of the Huskies that we're going to talk about them as far as their offense. Jake Browning, of a quarterback, who is also a Heisman candidate that people have talked about when you talk about that victory versus Stanford, that they had a big victory there at University of Washington. You also have a running back. You have a decent offensive line. You have an offense that can put points on the board. We obviously saw that against Stanford. The other thing about Washington is the special teams, that of John Ross. This is a speedster. Don't get it twisted. This guy can move fast. He's quick, misdirection, quick on his feet. He's had a couple returns in the season so far. So Oregon and special teams really has to watch out for this kid, and using John Ross on the receiving end of that offense of Washington. So a number 5 team coming here at Autzen. We're here on location. So we'll also look at when we talk about the head coaching matchup, that of Helfrich and Chris Peterson. Chris Peterson at one time was a assistant coach here at Oregon. So he does have Oregon ties. He comes here to University of Washington, takes his team in the first couple years, a little bit of problems because he was dealing with other recruits, but now he has a team that's been established. We saw what he did at Boise State. So it'll be interesting how we're going to see how he makes calls, how he makes plays. Remember that he had this team not talk to the media at all. So we'll see how serious this team. Really nice point to bring out too is how these teams come out. Do they come out with, Oregon's gotta come out. They have really nothing to lose. They have a redshirt freshman quarterback that they're starting. So they're coming out here with a grit to say, we can do something. We're going to prove that we can do something. Our backs are against the wall. We have to do something. We got that of Washington, though, here. 12-year drought of facing Oregon. That is a long time. That's more than a decade. So you have here Washington. What will they do? How will they come out? Obviously, they'll have a chip on their shoulder. Being the number ranked 5 team in the nation, they have something to prove as well, that they could come here to Oregon at a tough place to play and beat a team of that of Oregon. They are down, but they are a good team as well. So let's take a look at these matchups. I think the key is for that defense, when we talk about the defensive line of Washington, very stout. They can create a lot of pressure for that offensive line, that young offensive line of Oregon, create some problems there for Justin Herbert, flushing him out of the pocket, having those linebackers spy and be able to capture on that. But again, Herbert is a tall quarterback to get the ball to the receiver, so it'll be interesting to see that. Then we also have that of Oregon, how they do on the defensive end when it comes to their cornerbacks. When we think about them on an island, taking on the receiving core of that of Washington, we know that the Pac-12 refs do call flags when it comes to pass interference. If that defensive back does not turn around and play on the ball, that flag will be called every single time. So penalties, takeaways, all these self-inflicted wounds that Oregon has against them can stop the momentum that they try to create and they try to have to be able to take on and possibly shock the world here at Autzen Stadium. They're facing the University of Washington Huskies. So we appreciate you tuning into the Fat Show. We look forward to you staying close with us. We're going to have a post-game show, of course, at the end of the game. So again, thank you for watching the Fat Show, and this is Kevin. Go Ducks.